don't resonate with the Bible and what it says and all that is because they still have the understanding that the Bible was something that was only given to us by our slave master. And that certain things that's in it, they make sure that that is the only book that you ever read, and they stigmatize other things. But anyway, that's a whole nother story. For those who have an ear, this video is for you. I was watching The Matrix the other night, and you know how when Neo finally wakes up from the Matrix and realizes that the human beings were being harvested for energy because the planet's energy source had been blotted out. They didn't have a sun anymore. So the beings on that planet had to go and harvest human beings and use human beings as an energy source. And so when they had them plugged into those chambers, they had these cords connected to each chakra in the back. The crown chakra going downward, all the way to the lower spine. And that's how they would suck and liquidate the energy from these people. And so when they had them in these chambers, these matrix chambers, almost like you're swimming in, they depicted it almost like if you were in a womb. And as a baby growing with the umbilical cord or whatever. So they submerge you in water, and you have all these cords connected to your main chakras, and they're just draining the energy, but they put your consciousness in this computer program in order for your body, your physical body, to be staying alive. That is the kind of situation we're in right now. A lot of people are being used for their energy. The 1% that are on top are using the global collective as an energy source, and all the things that's going on with the and all that is just another form of mind control, because it's going to prevent a lot of people, generations down the line, they're going to have different aspects of their brain, more aspects of their DNA is going to be deactivated. It's also going to prevent you from reaching a higher level of consciousness. That being said, I want you to watch this clip here. Okay, this is the son of Marcus Garvey. Garvey is a man that tried to liberate the original people of this world from captivity. And now this whole world is in captivity to an extent. An invisible captivity, a mental slavery. And he is speaking some stuff that is truthful and that we all should be paying attention to. We shouldn't be looking at Joe Biden and Kamala Harris and all these other people. We need to look at our forefathers and how they lived, and then see who they have on the planet Earth that is just like them now. They're there. They're just well hidden. Now watch this and let me know what you think about this.
Important in terms of what you're doing, looking at African history. John Henry Clark said that, history is the lens through which you look at the future. And that's precisely what you are saying as well. And it's important when we look at history to understand that African history is world history. Without African history, there is no history. Again, African history is world history. Why? Because we were the first human beings. Again, why? Because we had the first civilization, and we not only were the first human beings, but we spread our humanity around the world. And not only were we the first civilized people, but we spread our civilization around the world. And then the barbarians who came out of the caves of Europe during the Ice Age and the Arabs, then they began to destroy our civilization because they could not understand it. And that's where we are, in a sense, after 2,000 years or more of that type of invasion and destruction. Something my father said, we know we've had slavery, we know we've had colonialism, but we must liberate our minds from mental slavery, because whilst others may free the body, none but ourselves can free the mind. And if we do not liberate our minds from mental slavery, then we cannot be who we are and who we ought to be, meaning African. Because what has happened is that the world ideology and world science, and a young brother mentioned cosmogony, cosmology, philosophy, all of that has been co-opted by Europeans. And they're ignorant, quite frankly, in terms of the basis of life, the source of life, which one can call it God, if you will, or one can call it the quantum field, if you like the scientific term, or you can call it the ether, etc., etc. But there's one source, and we are made in the image of that source, meaning that we're spiritual beings. And then what has happened now, our spirituality, which we had in Africa, basically there was no such thing as religion. It was a way of life, a spiritual way of life. That was how we lived in Africa. And then people who came to Africa and saw that and learned from us, whether it was the Hebrew people or the Muslim people, the Christian people, they developed religions. But then the religion became something relative to an individual and relative to a dogma. That's not what spirituality is all about. Spirituality is about a way of life, a way of development of the human being, so that the spiritual essence can manifest in the physical manifestation on a day-to-day basis. And that's when you get to your sociology, how you relate to other human beings. That's how you get to economics and economic development. Your cooperative economics and your relationship in terms of working together. If you look at all of African civilizations and nations, etc., it's all cooperative, Umoja and Njima, cooperative work and responsibility, cooperative economics. And this is what we have to look back to and bring it forward in terms of the industrial and the post-industrial age, where we're now into the internet and all of the technology that we have at the present time. But the principles are the same, and the principles are African principles of the unity of us as a people. There's one race, the human race. There's not a divided human race. There's one race, the human race. Some people are mixed up with neanderthals, but that's a different story. But there's one race. Now, there are different ethnicities because of different climatic factors and different histories. But we are the original, the human race. And our trajectory over time is the most important, because we go back 200,000 years. Nobody else goes back 200,000 years. And we have that in our DNA, and we have that in our history, which you young people have to get to know, because that is going to liberate your minds from mental slavery. And once your mind is liberated from mental slavery, then your spiritual essence comes forward, and that is your creativity. And then no obstacle can stand in your way, because you are part of divinity. And when you're part of divinity, then your intuition can bring to you all of the solutions that you need to solve the problems that face you. So don't despair. And as a matter of fact, if you look now at this COVID situation, going into post-COVID, you'll see that the dominant ideology is fraying, it is dissolving, it is falling apart, because of the fact that it has not been able to cope with the problems that it has created. It has created climate change and it's bringing disaster. It has created ways of living that are not compatible with longevity and open to all kinds of diseases. So you see people dying off because of pre-existing conditions and so on, when their immune system should be able to cope with the problems that are out there, whether they're bacterial, or viral, or otherwise. And we see, for example, January the 6th year in the United States of America, the rising up of divisive ideologies, and you see the fracturing of a so-called democracy, which has not been a true democracy because it has not functioned for the people. So we see that people who have set them up as what the world should be like, and paragons of virtue, etc., etc. When you know the history, you see that these people have been destroying other people. And they've murdered, they've pillaged, they've stolen continents, and that they're now destroying the planet and seeking to go elsewhere. So do we have to liberate our minds from the belief that this is the way that life should be. And all we have to do is look back at our own history and realize how life should be in its essence and how it has been. For example, if you look at Kemet was a wonderful civilization for more than 3,000 years. And no European, quote, civilization has existed for anything close to that period of time. So we have all of that there to inform us as we go forward, because we cannot develop unless we liberate our minds. Because when we liberate our minds, we know we're African, and then we're able to unite. And our unity will be the basis of our economic development. Because united, we're stronger. United, we're able to mine our resources and then share our resources.
There is from someone who is of age, a son of a famous activist, Marcus Garvey. And so for everybody who always wants to say, oh, that awakening, mumbo jumbos talk and spiritual awakening and elevating our minds and freeing our minds, all this, you make it seem like it's some kind of fictitious thing. Nobody wants to talk about this stuff. Nobody is talking about this. Nobody is talking about how we have people in Africa right now who are trying to wake people up. Most black people here in America need to understand the power that they have, and it comes from their minds. Wake up. You have a choice. Nothing is going to change until we change our own selves. He said it. So it's all the people who always want to talk about woke folks saying this, woke folks saying that, but they not doing or they ain't about nothing. Well, guess what? It's not about only being woke, because you have to actually have practical knowledge and a plan to do something, and that comes with unity. So you can sit there and be woke all you want, but if you're isolated and you're not trying to help others liberate their minds and spread information about stuff that we should be concerned about, we should not be worried about what's going on in this fake democracy government. This is a matrix. Wake up. Nobody wants to talk about real stuff. They just want to talk about what they see on CNN and what so-and-so is saying, and this mayor, this governor, this stuff. This stuff is about to be destroyed. Okay? This system is not going to last forever. Wake up so you can help create the new earth with a community of people who are like-minded as you. And I hope that this community on this channel can be a portal for that.